Hey everyone, it's been a while since I have done a Grim Dawn video, and today we are going to be looking at a Battlemage that is based around Callidor's Tempest. I just have to strip him real quick, because I forgot to do that before I started. Yeah, I know I haven't been doing a lot of Grim Dawn things lately. It's been like a threefold combination of stuff that has kept me away from the game. One is I got really bored of it, because I played it way too much, and I really just needed time away from it. Two is Overwatch came out, and like that's a game I wish I could actually record a lot and post a lot of, even though I don't play competitively at all. I'm strictly a scrub casual with it. I would still like to do scrub casual level videos with it, but that's not going to happen because my computer it doesn't want to record it for some reason. And then there's some other stuff I don't want to go into that's kind of been keeping me away from recording in general, which is why the last like 4 days or so I haven't actually posted a daily video. But I'm gonna do some recording today that will get back into doing dailies. So anyways, let's just jump right into the build. Like I said, it's a battle mage based around Callidor's Tempest. I had this idea sort of floating around for a while, and I wanted to act on it. This is my old battle mage, Magus, who originally I wanted to keep strictly as doing attacks next to spellcasting, but I did like 4 or 5 variations on that, and they got kind of good, but I felt it was time to move on from that concept from early access. So now we are into this very much just, he's an explosion, essentially, a moving explosion. It's not as elegant as using Wand of Woe with Diablo 3, but given that this is Grim Dawn, it's still far superior than anything a Wand of Woe and Diablo 3 could provide you. So, let's just turn that off, turn that off, turn that off, turn that off. So first and foremost, the main ability of the build is Callidor's Tempest. We have it at 16 out of 16. I have the Elemental Seeker ability attached to it. And you may notice this says current level 1. That's because I just redid this guy today. So, like, Elemental Seeker here is still at, like, it's almost got level 2. So you're going to see the Seekers pop out and deal little damage. Not a lot of damage. Same thing with Aether Fire. This guy was a cold guy before, so I'm switching him over to Aether to run Callidor's Tempest. So yeah, his devotion abilities are not maxed out at all yet. So gonna have to deal with that. Gonna have to deal with a little low-end damage on the Elemental Seekers. But I went with the Elemental Seeker route, and I'll get into this more when we get to devotion, because they can act at a larger range than he can act. So the Elemental Seekers can go out and ping things while we're sitting here and exploding and doing our Callidor's Tempest and War Cries. So Inferno I have at 9 out of 12 because we get +3 to it. I don't generally overcap my secondary abilities. I think I do with my Albrecht's Aether Ray guy, maybe, but I generally find it better to take your secondary or even tertiary or quaternary abilities in the case of like Penitentia's Replicating Missile. I generally like to keep these at their caps with our plus skills. So that's why this is at 9 of 12. Iskanders I want at 12 out of 12, mostly for that energy regen. But actually, the energy leech does apply for us because Callidor's Tempest deals weapon damage. So it's not actually a bad thing to keep it at 12 out of 12 for that as well. We also add on that flat elemental damage, 40% of it. Actually, it might be more than 40%, but we add that on. So it's actually not, like, for the Albrecht's Aether Ray Arcanist, it's pretty much just using Iskanders for the energy regen. For this guy, we actually get to use Iskander's Elemental Exchange for its whole, for all the stuff it provides. Except maybe that conversion. Like, without our weapon equipped, obviously we're not going to get our physical, like, we do deal physical damage, but it's a tiny amount of physical damage. Overload and Elemental Balance, obviously 1 point each. Mirror of Aractes, I am running it as a 1 point wonder. I might in the future jump it up to 12 just to have it a lot, but this guy has a lot of defenses regardless. So I'm fine with running this set as a 1 pointer on this guy, even though he's going to be in melee range a lot of the time. My Event Sphere is at 5 out of 12. Obviously, it goes up to 12 out of 12 with a plus skills. Conversion's 1. I have Reckless Power maxed out. Everything about Reckless Power supports a Callidor's Tempest build. The flat damage, the percent damages, the burn damage, the physical converted to Aether a little bit. Casting speed is great. Having Retaliation is also actually kind of nice, because we'll be in the thick of it. Electro's Flash Freeze, I have at 9 out of 12. It's jumped up to 12 out of 12. I love Electro's Flash Freeze. Just hitting the entire screen for that freeze is awesome. And being able to equip some things to it, I still wish I could throw Aether Fire on it. I understand why you can't. Excuse me. But we have Dryad's Blessing on it, so this is also essentially a heal for us, which is pretty nice. I'm also running Warp Fire, which means this is a Flash Fire. Yeah, that's it. And 1 point in Absolute Zero, mostly for that slow. Inner Focus is obviously maxed out. Arcade Mode is a 1 point wonder. Nullification is a 1 point wonder. Mental Alacrity and Fabric of Reality, I want at their caps. Overcapping them is not really worth it. But getting them to their caps gives us the percent Aether damage here and the casting speed and cost reduction, which is really helpful for our character. On the soldier side, Warcry is at 9 out of 12, and that'll obviously get jumped up to 12 out of 12. Warcry is awesome for the reduction. I mean, the taunt is good, but also reducing enemy damage is really awesome. Just burst it, you survive better. All the trash mobs just lose a lot of health. Hits a huge area. Really, really nice. 1 point on Fighting Spirit. So the 1 pointers on the soldier side, Fighting Spirit, Maynard's Will, Veterancy, and Decorated Soldier, I could go throw this someplace else. Like, I could maybe cap off Inferno, Scoundrel's Elemental Exchange, get it higher up, or something else. But honestly, when I get all my plus skills on here, I have like 3 extra points, and I could cap out Inferno, but I mean, I think I'd rather, instead of getting a tiny bit more damage on Callidor's Tempest, I think I'd rather get a tiny bit more health regen and a tiny bit more resistances, and I mean, a little bit of a heal, because we're running a shield. So yeah, I don't actually mind having that on there. And if at some point I get a gear swap that gives me +1 to all soldier skills, that'll be pretty helpful for getting just more out of those. So yeah, like these 4 points, possibly 5 points if you count Blindside, I could maybe throw someplace else, but I don't. I personally would rather have these tiny little benefits here. If you don't want to do that, I would suggest maybe a Scoundrel's Elemental Exchange, cap out Inferno. I don't even know actually what you could do beyond that. Maybe put more on Maynard's Will to get the heal better. But yeah, I actually am fine with spreading some points around as 1 point wonders. Or just at least 1 pointers, unless if you don't consider them a wonder. So, Field Command is maxed out, and I have 1 point on Squad Tactics. Squad Tactics is not as useful when you're using Callidor's Tempest. If I were using Cadence or Blade Arc, I would probably put this up to 12 out of 12, but and that's why this is going here, is because this originally wasn't using Callidor's Tempest. So I'm just throwing a point on there to get the tiny bit of all damage going. We're obviously not using attacking, we're using casting, so Squad Tactics is basically a 1 pointer at that point. Obviously Military Conditioning we want maxed out. We want Shield Training maxed out because we are running a Will of the Living. And at 1 point, like I said, on Veterancy and Decorated Soldier, just the 1 pointers for those little little benefits there. Throw on our ability, or Yeah, we'll throw on our abilities and we'll activate our items. So, throw on our items, activate our abilities. See, we got Iskandra's cap, Myvan's is capped. We're at 23 out of 16 on Callidor's Tempest, which is very close to getting it maxed out. And I don't know any gear I could actually pick up to get those last 3 points. And honestly, I think I'm fine with the way it is. Like I said, we got 50% weapon damage, which is actually a lot of weapon damage. Our DPS is almost 12k, which is a lot given that it's Callidor's Tempest. It's not like the 40k of Aurochs Aether. It's 12k though off of this, and we deal 6 physical damage. This is why I'm not running the Mind Warp Sword, because we deal a tiny amount of physical. I mean, we deal more physical, obviously, with the sword equipped. I mean, we can look at it real quick. Oh wow, we deal 16 to 24 extra damage. So Mind Warp would not be a good option, in my opinion, for this particular build. If you were doing a Cadence build, I would then recommend actually using Mind Warp, but I think Warp Fire is a superior weapon for Callidor's Tempest. It has everything you want out of it, and the actual Warp Fire proc is awesome. Like, those are our main damage types. Reducing the enemy resistances is huge, and that just makes it great. So yeah, you can see we got these at cap. That's at 17, that's at 19. On the soldier, we got Warcry at 12, and like I said, we don't have a +1 to all soldier skills item, but if I were to pick one up, it would definitely help for these 1-pointers here. And like I said, if you don't like using 1-pointers, you can switch them out if you want. So for the gear, we have Warp Fire, as I mentioned, as our weapon. This one happens to be a 93% conversion one, which is great for turning Electra's Flash Freeze into Electra's Flash Flare, whatever you want to call it. Our fire damage is at 1100, as is our Aether damage. So I mean, yeah, that's like a 500% damage increase. So yeah, it's actually really nice to have that that ability here for our Flash Freeze. I am three-piecing the Iskandra set. It is a really awesome set if you're intending to survive as an Arcanist or Arcanist combined character. The defenses it provides are great, even if you aren't getting the full set. I generally say if you want this set to go for the 3-piece or the full 5-piece. Generally speaking, the 4-piece to me is not as good an investment for the piece of gear, but 3-piece is great for the physical and pierce res. Getting all of it together is great for just your defenses in general, because this 20% armor is a huge boost, and the ability is really nice as well. Wraithborn leg wraps are our pants. They are mostly for Aurochs Aether, but they work great for us anyways. They're Aether pants. They give you health, offensive ability, vitality, and bleed resistance, and +2 to reckless power is pretty good. The Aether Blast Wave is also pretty good because it's just another source of sort of area of effect Aether damage from us. On the other side, we have Will of the Living as our shield. It's a great shield for a warrior mage. Do I have it on me? Elementium also works great if you don't have that. And then there's that, it's like Dawn Shard Bulwark, I think. It's more for a commando, more rather than a battle mage, but that one works good as well for a warrior mage shield. Good defenses, +1 to all Arcana skills, +2 to Mind Sphere. It also has cooldown reduction, which is pretty nice for getting like mirror back up quickly. Cycling Warcry is faster, cycling Flash Freeze is faster. The shoulders are another piece of our Iskandra set. Our gloves are Aether Reach, and even though these are definitely made for Aurochs Aether, they still work great for us. They have the casting speed and energy regen, they got some good resistances and Aether damage, and I love the proc on this, because the proc, like, it goes all over the place. Like those little green bolts of lightning, like, are just awesome. They just, when you hit things and you see the lightning bolts go off and hit other things, it's a really, really nice proc if you're built around Aether damage. Our boots are Golemborn Greaves, and while we don't have Maynard's Bulwark, they're still just really solid defensive boots. I could maybe see going for Wraithwalkers, but I just think these do the job well enough. Well enough for a piece of defensive gear. So in the middle, I'm using the Maw of Despair helmet, which is basically made for Callidor's Tempest Battlemage. I mean, it's got a lot of really great stuff. A really nice proc. Yeah, it's just all around a really nice helmet. The third piece of our Scoundrel set is the Amulet. Our rings are an Empowered Eternal Band, which I kind of maybe want to replace with something legendary. Maybe... Wait, I have Screams of the Aether. Maybe, Band of Eternal Haunt. I'm sure there's something else I could think of to go there. Or a defensive ring, like maybe the Lifegiver Signet, so I can actually get a little life leech on here. Because that's something I don't actually have right now, which would probably be kind of helpful. Where is it? Yeah, I have no lifesteal. So yeah, maybe going for a Lifegiver Signet would get me some lifesteal. A little more survivability. I don't know that I actually need it. I think the only things that really hurt my health are Nemesis spawns. And I can always run away from them. Screams of the Aether is our other ring. I'm not running Devastation, obviously, because we're using a shield. But if I were using a caster offhand, I'd probably work Devastation in. Yeah. Fabric of Reality is a nice little bonus. Screams of the Aether is a really handy proc. Otherwise, it's mostly just an Aether DPS ring. I have a Mark of Anathema as my medal. Again, it's pretty much built for Callidor's Tempest. The only thing on it is the Aether Blaze ability requires a caster offhand. I don't know why, it just does. So, yeah, that's not actually going to work. But look at all those stats you get out of it. I could maybe see replacing this with a Mark of Divinity for the defensive proc. But, yeah, I don't mind running a little more DPS-y stuff here. A lot of our defense, and it even still has a lot of defense for that elemental res and an increased maximum elemental res, because we have 87 on each. I mean, we get a lot of defense off of Myvan Sphere and a shield. And, like, it's actually a lot of defense. So we have a pretty good setup with what our character does. Anyways. So, yeah, I don't mind actually. Normally I do use, like, something defensive, like Empowered Combat Medics Mark, or, like I said, Mark of Divinity. But yeah, we'll go DPS on that slot. Tinker's Ingenuity is an amazing belt. It has health regen, constitution, void melee attacks, oh, and a crap ton of poison, acid, and bleeding res. That's pretty much why I have not bad resistances right now, is this belt. I mean, the only thing that's bad is my chaos res, and I don't really like going into places with heavy chaos stuff anyways, so yeah, we can live with that. Tinker's Ingenuity is also a great proc. And our relic is Aegis. I've had this thing on this guy for the longest time. It's always been awesome, and it's like when they changed it to a chance on attack proc, it just got more awesome as a heal and a defensive relic. I honestly can't think of anything I'd rather give this guy than Aegis. Maybe Fortress, I think it is, or there's probably something that's a Maynard's relic. I mean, I can go look. I probably have it, but. Yeah, maybe another defensive relic, but I like having that heal from Aegis. Oh, hey, I was right. Maynard's Bastion. Oh, you have to activate that. If that were auto cast, I'd probably go for it. But yeah, Maynard's Bastion might work. Citadel isn't a bad thing, actually. Actually, no, Citadel isn't. Citadel wouldn't be bad. You can maybe work in Avenger. Like I said, I'm using Aegis. It's more for dual wielding. That's more for a spellbreaker. Yeah, I would probably say Reckoning wouldn't be that bad. Maybe if it's like your last. If like, you don't have anything else, Reckoning probably wouldn't be bad. Wouldn't go with Illyrian's Wrath. Yeah, maybe the things I recommended there would probably work. Also, I've been playing so much Overwatch, seeing Bastion in a item name makes me want to avoid it as best I can. So attributes, I have 46, 20, 20 as my character's attributes. It's pretty much a 2 to 1 to 1 ratio. Again, this is more for him being sort of, I want to attack things while casting spells, and I still want to preserve that, so I'd actually recommend this regardless. Otherwise, I think maybe 2 on Physique, 1 on Spirit would probably work as well. And finally, for Devotion, there are a couple ways you could go with Devotion for this guy. I went for the Elemental Seeker on the Blind Seer, or Blind Sage. I've always wanted to use this ability on this character, and I finally got around to just saying, you know what, I'm gonna do it, because Devotion right now, and probably what it's gonna be going forward, like just into the future of the game, you mostly use it for offense. So that's the thing about Devotion is it's very, very DPS-y right now. If you're doing Cold, you go down and pick up Leviathan. If you're doing generally Aether, you go up and pick up Spear of the Heavens. Fire, you go for Ulzin's Torch. Chaos, you go over here. It's actually rarer for me to go and pick up defensive stuff. I got a little on this guy, but for the most part, I was like, you know what? I'm going straight for Elemental Seer. I keep combining the like 3 things together. I usually go for the Blind Sage for right now, I'm going for the Blind Sage for Elemental Seeker. I got it out. Okay, so the way I took this was you start at the crossroads with Primordial and pick up the Imp. Then you can respec that point. That'll unlock all of the Eldritch stuff. So from the Imp, I picked up Scholar's Light and the Hawk. And I picked up Oaklane's Lantern and the Raven. That is the 18 you need for Eldritch. Then I went and picked up the Ascendant stuff. Point on Crossroads. Go and pick up the Owl. The Empty Throne. Take that point out. You'll have your 10 points here. Then I went in. I just filled out the center line because that's the fire line for the Sage. If you want the other elemental types, you can throw the 2 points on the 2 side pieces. I personally think I don't need them. So after that, I moved on. I needed more movement speed on this guy because the Battlemage combination has no way to get more movement speed, except in like Illyrian's Rage, which obviously my character does not have. So I picked up the Sailor's Guide, and I threw 2 points just because I had the spare points on to the Messenger of War, mostly to get the extra 5% movement speed. And then between the Imp and the Sailor's Guide, and completing the Dryad, we were able to pick up the Shield Maiden. So, yeah, the Dryad we put onto Electra's Flash Freeze, like I mentioned before. Aether Fire goes on Warcry. And we have the Elemental Seeker on Callidor's Tempest. I might actually flip that around, put Aether Fire on Callidor's Tempest, and the Seekers on Warcry. We'll play around with it. But yeah, and then we can actually pick up the Shield Maiden and make our shielding better. So yeah, just to look at her shield stats, 59% chance to block stuff. It blocks 1,000 damage, and we get 35% recovery on that, which is pretty not bad, given that we are a warrior mage. So into the field we go, and I'm just gonna go for killing some undead. I managed Valderin earlier with this guy, but it took a while, and I can kill the Warden fairly easily. He just takes a lot of time because he's the warden and he's highly aether resistant. So yeah, we can freeze and then we can just sit here, and we have 200% casting speed, so we actually do hit quite hard, or quite fast. And this is one of these builds that, like, you could probably play it one-handed. Like, just set your mouse up with all your abilities if you have a mouse that has more than 2 buttons, and you'll pretty much be able to run this game one-handed. Now, the one thing about this build I'm not jazzed about is its energy regen. He has 100, which is not bad. I would prefer it to be about 200, but I can't think of any place that I could actually, like, take stuff away to get more energy regen. Because he's already going for a lot of it. So I would maybe consider doing some more energy regen. Because when you get an enemy like this, where they just aren't taking a lot of damage, and sometimes you have to stop and actually sit there and start swinging at them. It's a little just annoying. Sort of the weakness right now, I think, with Callidor's Tempest is it feels like I'm really geared towards it, and it still is like, it's a little on the weak side. Yeah, like, see, this guy's burning, so, like, he has high fire resistance. Now, the alternative is I could actually potentially drop Mental Alacrity and slow my character down, or take points out of Reckless Power and slow the character down. Because if we do that, we actually will cast less, but we will not be burning so much of our regen. But against trash mobs, like, we can pretty much just hit the flash freeze and run, and come up and burn some more guys down, and we get our Seekers out. Now, there might be a build in here somewhere for running Wrath of Agravex on Callidor's Tempest. And this might be a good thing to maybe combo with Cadence and Mind Warp. Is you run... you would run basically Callidor's Tempest the way I have it set up, but with Wrath of Agravex. And then what you would do is gear with cooldown reduction. Specifically with what do you call it? Star Pact. It may sound odd, but you could run Star Pact, Mind Warp, and a bunch of cooldown reduction stuff to get Callidor's Tempest, and you'd probably run a caster offhand in this case, to get Callidor's Tempest with Wrath of Agravex as quick as possible. And then you would sort of run it as like a bomb type of thing in between your cadence hits, and you could actually get it proccing quite a bit. So I think if you did want to run it with that whole cast spells next to attacking type of build, that might be a way to do it. I'm actually going to run over here and see if... Did the moose spawn? He did not in that room. So let's go down to level 2. I think another kind of weakness of this build is it might get a little boring because you're just sitting here like this the entire time. Some people might find that boring. Just have one spamming ability pretty much. It's another part of the reason I kind of wanted to play the character initially is like attacking while casting spells. Otherwise, it's a pretty fun build if you want to play a warrior mage. Now, if only there was a way to cast Callidor's Tempest while moving. Yeah, a caster offhand would solve our energy regen issues. But we'd have to figure out another way to get our defenses built up. Or we could work on getting more energy leech. I mean, there are a lot of ways to potentially do that. I think I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I basically slapped this together. I kind of just slapped this together today. Because it was a build I had in my head for a while, and I wanted to do it, and I was like, that'll make a perfect Grim Dawn build. Since I have the character, like this really, really experienced, I guess, Battlemage. And we get a lot of those seekers. I think right now it's at 3 maybe, or is there a limit? There might not actually be a limit. I'd have to actually look at the ability. I should really read the abilities in Grim Dawn before I pick them. No, they just live. They just live for 5 seconds. So I mentioned, let's try this real quick. I mentioned this swap, so let's put Aether Fire on Callidor's Tempest, and the Seekers can't go on more. Oh, they can go on the Flash Freeze, though, so let's do the Flash Freeze. I bet this goes on Warcry. It does. Okay. So we just rotated everything around. Let's see if Callidor's Tempest actually gets a damage boost with the hopefully constant Aether Fires that it puts out. The only problem I could see with this is fighting a boss, you don't get your Seekers. Which still annoys me. That's a little thing in this game that I think has always annoyed me. Has been Flash Freeze not affecting bosses. I'm running over here to run over there to hit those guys and try to get some Seekers out of it. Oh, whoops. See, I have a lot of elemental reduction too, and it's weird that I'm getting like not bigger hits, I guess. It could be something to try this with a caster offhand. I would actually consider just picking up the what do you call it? Escondra's offhand. Just throw it in there. I honestly can't think of an offhand I'd rather go with. But yeah, it's not a difficult build to play. Little tweaks could be done with it, like maybe a little lifesteal. Maybe some more energy regen, but yeah. It works for what it is right now, definitely. Still don't want to stand in that. Yeah, you know, I think just going and repositioning a little is actually not a bad idea. And it'll get your health back, get your energy back. Get you out of bullcrap that some of the enemies will throw down on you. Oh, and he's dead. I thought that would take a lot longer. No Muzelek, but did we get a Skullbreaker? We did not. So no Muzelek, but still a good demonstration of a Callidor's Battlemage. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.